She didn't know his name. He didn't know hers. But their souls recognized each other the moment fate collided. Quite literally. On a busy Manhattan street. One heartbeat, one scream, one glimpse. And everything changed. Mia Taylor had always believed in logic. Plans. Goals. But when she saw the man lying in the street, blood on his brow and a stillness that screamed silence into her bones, her world tilted. Who was he? And why did her heart ache like she just lost someone she never knew she loved? They say there are connections beyond this life. She had laughed at such ideas. Not anymore. She was about to find out that sometimes destiny has a memory even when we don't. Because the moment her eyes locked with his, something ancient surged between them. A whisper beneath the noise. A thread that tugged from lifetimes past. And when the ambulance pulled away, she wasn't just watching a stranger leave. She was watching fate set its plan in motion. At 21, Mia Taylor had every reason to feel tired. She woke up before the sun, pushed her coffee cart through the chill of the Manhattan dawn, and served espresso with a smile she barely felt. At night, she transformed into the poised receptionist of an elite nightclub, one that smelled of perfume, ambition, and secrets. Born in the quiet fields of Indiana, she'd carried dreams too big for cornfields and church socials. She came to New York with a second-hand suitcase, a student loan application half-filled, and hope tucked deep into her coat pocket. It wasn't easy. She didn't party. She didn't complain. She worked and dreamed until the morning of the accident. It was a Tuesday, cloudy. Mia was serving a cappuccino when tires screeched against asphalt, and a commotion tore through the crowd like a whip. A man had been hit by a speeding car. People gathered, phones out, voices rising. Mia didn't move. Her heart did something strange. She looked at him. His eyes fluttered open, blood seeping from his temple. Their eyes met for a second, and in that second something ancient whispered, "There you are." Mia stood still as the ambulance came. The moment felt suspended in amber. When they took him away, her breath left with them. She couldn't focus. Orders blurred. She burned 2 lattes and gave someone a croissant instead of a muffin. Later, a customer recognized her confusion and explained. The man hit was Matthew Wright, a prominent stockbroker who worked a few buildings down. She went home that night and couldn't sleep. Who was this man that made her feel like grief had moved in before love ever did? She dreamed of him. Not clearly. Like smoke. 3 days later, she stood outside the hospital. Her hands trembled. Inside, she found the room. He was there, bandaged, resting. And beside him sat a woman. Slim, elegant, red hair cascading like flame. Mia froze. Her chest tightened. What was she doing? The woman leaned in and whispered, "Take care of yourself, little brother," then kissed his forehead. Brother. Relief flooded her like rain after drought. When the woman left, Mia stepped forward, timid as a deer. "Hi, Mia. I was there when the accident happened." He turned his head slowly. His voice was rough but kind. "You were there." Their eyes met again. That feeling returned. Ancient. Familiar. "Yeah," she nodded. "I saw everything." "Hey, I'm glad you're okay." They exchanged numbers. She left with a heart pounding loud enough to wake the whole city. Matthew couldn't explain it either. Even lying on that sterile hospital bed, dazed from painkillers and questions, he remembered her eyes. Eyes that didn't belong to a stranger. Eyes he'd seen before. In dreams, in echoes, maybe in another life. He saved her number. That same evening, still bandaged and sore, he sent her a simple message. "Thank you for being there." Mia stared at her screen for 10 minutes before replying, "I'm glad you're okay." From that moment, their connection grew. Not like wildfire, but like roots underground. Each morning, Matthew showed up at her coffee stand. Sometimes in a suit, sometimes in jeans and a hoodie. Always with a smile, always ready to ask about her day. Always reaching for her hand as if by accident. They talked about everything and nothing. His passion for numbers. Her dream of becoming a lawyer. Her favorite pie. His hatred for pineapple on pizza. The way she scrunched her nose when she was annoyed. The way his laugh came from deep in his chest. He noticed how tired she looked some mornings and started bringing her breakfast. She, in turn, began leaving his coffee just the way he liked it. Half sugar, 1.5 shots, oat milk, no lid. They didn't name it. Whatever it was. Then came the dinner invitation. Mia didn't own a dress fancy enough for the place he'd suggested. So, after her night shift, she stayed up stitching pieces of fabric together. Red, length, simple, elegant. Inspired by a magazine clipping she kept folded in her drawer. When she walked into the restaurant, Matthew's breath caught. She looked like she belonged in a painting. He stood, pulled her chair out and said nothing. Just smiled. He smiled back. The dinner flowed with laughter and spark. They forgot the noise of the world. Until she came. A redhead, stormy-eyed and furious. She charged in like a tempest and slammed her hand on their table. "Are you kidding me, Matthew? You're cheating on me with this." Mia froze. Her hands clenched around her napkin. He stood shocked. "Rachel, you need to leave." "We're not." But she was already shouting, accusing, pointing, crying. Mia didn't wait. She stood. "I should go." Matthew reached for her arm. "Please let me explain." "You don't have to," she said, her voice shaking. "I get it." She ran outside, hailed a taxi. He followed but was too late. Inside the cab, tears streamed down her face. She didn't understand what hurt more. The scene or the fact that she had let herself hope. She packed that same night. Indiana waited with open arms and quiet streets. Mia didn't tell anyone what happened. She just disappeared. Matthew called every day. Texted. Left voicemails. Nothing. Until one day, in the small kitchen of the Taylor home, Mia's phone buzzed while she was in the shower. Her mother answered before thinking. "Hello. Hi, this is Matthew. I'm looking for Mia. Please. I need to talk to her." There was a long pause. Her mother looked at the bathroom door, then whispered, "Here's our address. But don't you dare hurt her again." Matthew didn't hesitate. He packed a bag and drove through the night. Indiana was nothing like Manhattan. Quieter, simpler, honest. But Mia was nowhere in sight. Matthew parked outside the Taylor home just as dawn crept across the fields. The house looked like something out of an old postcard. White porch, faded shutters, and the smell of cinnamon coming from the kitchen window. He knocked. Her mother opened the door, arms crossed, eyes fierce. "She's not ready to see you." "I'll wait," he said, with a quietness that disarmed her. He sat on the porch. 1 hour. The sky turned from gold to blue, then gray. Finally the screen door creaked. Mia stepped out. She looked different. No makeup, hair tied back. But her eyes were the same, stormy, searching. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Trying to fix what I broke." "You didn't break it." "Broke it. By hoping too much." Silence settled between them like autumn leaves. "I'm not with her, Mia. I wasn't with her when we met. Rachel and I were complicated, but over." Mia bit her lip. "It didn't look over." "I know. And I should have told you. I was afraid. You made me feel things I thought I'd buried." She sat beside him, arms wrapped around her knees. "What do you want from me, Matthew?" He turned, looked at her like a man who'd found home. A second chance. Matthew didn't return to Manhattan. He stayed in Indiana. No suits, no briefcase, no boardroom meetings. He traded all that for mornings where the biggest decision was whether to bring Mia tea or coffee. And he always brought both, just in case. They walked through wheat fields, sat on the porch with old books, and watched storms roll in. They spoke little, but silence between them was a language of its own. Mia began to smile again. Not the fake kind she wore in the city, but a deep, slow smile that warmed from the soul outward. And Matthew, he breathed differently, like someone who had finally exhaled after holding their breath for years. One afternoon she asked him, "What are you doing with your life, Matthew?" He smiled. "This." "No, seriously," she laughed, throwing a piece of popcorn at him. He caught it mid-air. "You." She looked at him, stunned. "I don't know what the future holds, Mia," he said. "But I know it only matters if you're in it." Time came to choose. One morning a letter arrived. Mia had been accepted into law school. In Chicago. Full scholarship. She froze with the envelope in hand, and Matthew immediately knew what it was. He didn't need to ask. Her eyes were glowing and wet at the same time. "I got in," she whispered. He smiled wide, but the corners of his mouth trembled. "That's amazing," he said. "You're going." She looked down. "But I just found you." He stepped closer, cupped her face gently. "Then take me with you. In your heart, in your mornings, in every page you read. And if I still live in your dreams after all that, then I'll know we're still meant to be." She hugged him as if she could glue the moment together. And the next week she left. 2 years later, the courtroom was packed. High-profile case. A young woman standing confident and prepared, ready to defend her client. Her voice was calm, precise, her suit sharp, her eyes full of purpose. She was Mia Taylor. Now Mia Taylor JD, and she was brilliant. She won the case. When she walked out of the courtroom, surrounded by press and congratulations, someone stepped forward from the crowd. Man, roses in hand. Her heart skipped. He stood there, still Matthew but softer, with the time-worn gentleness of someone who had waited without ever giving up. "Hi," he said. Tears welled up in her eyes. "What are you doing here?" He knelt, right there on the courthouse steps, surrounded by strangers and silence. I told myself, if you still smiled when you saw me, I'd ask. He opened the box. Simple ring. But it shimmered like it held every second of every lifetime they had ever lived. Mia Taylor, will you let me love you for the rest of this one? She didn't say anything. She just kissed him. Hard. Certain. And the world applauded. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Comment. I believe in love that remembers. If you felt the soul connection in this story, turn on notifications so you never miss a love story like this one. Share it with someone who's waiting for their second chance at love.